Okay, so the welcome to this short presentation slash storytelling. The entire idea is to live the Yoga Sutras through these stories from mythology. Um, Let me pull up this. So, for those who are familiar with scriptures on yoga, Vedanta, etc., this is how it is. The scriptures sometimes can be very abstruse, very difficult to understand. So the Yoga Sutra, the sutras in general, for those who've been attending the Vedanta and the yoga classes, there are 6 darshanas, and all 6 darshanas in India, there are 6 philosophies. These are called Astika darshanas, which are based on the Vedas, which are the revealed scriptures, and they all have sutras. Of course, the Sankhya sutras were lost, but there were Sankhya sutras. So the sutras are terse aphorisms, and it's very difficult to understand. And you need a commentary, sometimes a sub commentary in addition. And in addition to that, you would need stories to understand the subtle concepts. Then there is the Bhagavad Gita, which is poetry explaining profound concepts of Vedanta. In fact, Vedanta, there are 3 pillars, they say: the Upanishads, which are the revealed scriptures, part of the Vedas. They're the end portion, or they called Veda Anta, that is the end portion of the Vedas. The Upanishads, abstruse and enigmatic. And then the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita is one of the pillars of Sanatana Dharma. There is Upanishads, there is Bhagavad Gita, and then there is the Brahma Sutras. These are the 3 pillars. Then there are the hymns or the stotras like Vishnu Sahasranamam, Dakshinamurti Stotram, where all these concepts, they're dealt with in a beautiful symbolic way. With Dakshinamurti, those who attended the Dakshinamurti Stotram, they would know there's Dakshinamurti symbolized as Brahman, with all these qualities holding the Chin Mudra. What the Chin Mudra means, the Jiva identifying with the Paramatma, the Supreme Self, instead of with the 3 bodies, all that. Then there is the Puranas and Itihasas. This is the fun portion. It's mythological stories. These are not just random stories on morals and ethics. It has deep symbolisms about our own nature. So we're going to see a few of them to illustrate the core of the yoga philosophy. Okay, so that is the whole idea. Now, there is a mixed group of people here, so I'm not going to take anything for granted, and I'm going to briefly tell about the structure of the mind and your own mental makeup. That is yours, ours, everything. Okay, so I will start with this. And for those like Anu, Sumitra, and Amy, you probably are familiar with that, but just bear with me for a few minutes. Now, the story I'm going to tell you, it's like your own life being enacted out in front of you. In fact, that is how the story is described by the Rishi Narada in the Bhagavata Puranam. So he is telling the story to another king, and Prachina Barhi is the name of the king, and the he's saying, okay, Prachina Barhi, oh great king, this is like your own story. I'm going to tell you the story. Think of it as your own story enacted in front of you. So approach it with that mindset. And it's not like some other mind for some other people or general concept. No, it is your own thing that is being talked about. So this is your mind, not some general concept or something. This is how your mind is. The mind, when in English science, they just say brain, chemicals, and all that. But in yoga and Vedanta, the mind has 4 distinct parts. Okay, the first is called manas. This is the memory, feelings, etc. The center is the heart, but it's distributed throughout the body. That is the center of feelings, emotions, all this. Then there is the buddhi, that is the intellect. Usually they associate it with the prefrontal cortex, but it's little more than that. The buddhi is considered very superior. Emotions can sway you, but buddhi is the one who steers everything. So buddhi has a special status in the mind. Then there is the ahankara. Ahankara is the nature of I, like we saw that yesterday in the class. I as of male, female, father, mother, son, daughter, all this, how you relate to the external world. There's a sense of identification. Okay, all. So we've seen manas, buddhi, ahankara, and then finally there's the chitta. Chitta should not be confused with chit. Chit refers to consciousness. So all these four parts of the mind, they're all inert according to yoga. And there is one that shines beyond that. That is the chit, or the consciousness. That is of the nature, that has no properties. It is aprameyaha. It is incognizable because it has no properties. You can't associate. Once you name something, it becomes an object. This is forever the subject. That is the real you. The only portion of you, this human being, that is conscious and sentient, is that you. Even the buddhi, everything is inert, but they come to life as though, like electricity, when it goes through an equipment, the equipment starts moving and all that happens, right? Like that, this buddhi is inert, but when the consciousness pervades the mind, it seems to come alive. And of all these four, the closest one to the consciousness is the chitta. That's why it is called chitta. It is the link to consciousness. Chittiva bhavayati chittam. Sometimes it looks as though it is itself conscious. No, it is borrowing the consciousness. The example, classical example that is given is in a movie theater. I'm talking about film and all that. This in olden days, they used to have film. Now everything is digital. But just look at this example with me. There is the movie theater light. Okay, that is equivalent to the consciousness. That falls on the film and it's projected on the screen. The screen seems to come alive. That is screen. That is the entire movie theater is the chitta. That is, so if you, when you sit and meditate and if you see the mind, there constantly there's images and sounds in the mind. That's like the movie theater. And now what happens is that when there is a light or a sound, then the intellect, it first sees that image and then it makes a decision. This is good, this is bad. And then when the manas sees the image, it develops a feeling. So the thought comes and there is something projected on the screen and then there's a feeling. So far, is everything clear, this portion? Okay. And so these are the four parts of the mind. The ahankara is something which says, okay, it identifies with the body. It says, okay, this is this entity. And sometimes the identification, it is needed to transact, but that's all it is. It is like when you're in a play, you're acting, you have to, it's as though you're identified with the role, but you're not that role. That's the only relevance of the ahankara. It has no other relevance because what did I say? You are that light. You are not the body or anything. You're like that's consciousness. It is temporarily living. And now we'll come to the next portion. So I told you that the body has okay, all right, the mind has all these four parts. Now your body itself, the mind is part of body itself has many aspects to it. There is the physical aspect. So in yoga and Vedanta, there are things drishta, adrishta, they say. So it's things that can be seen, things which cannot be seen by our senses. Because the senses, the power of perception behind the senses itself belongs to a different layer of your body. So that which can be seen, the gross body, the blood, bone, skin, all that, it's called Sthula Shariram. The subtle body, now I'm going to detail what the subtle body is. Let's see if I have a um, slide to determine, to illustrate the subtle body. Um, so the subtle body consists of 19 different components. So remember this portion well. There is there are the sthula shariram, the gross body, then there's a subtle body, then there's also a causal body. The causal body is where it's just the imprints, all our imprints of our karma that gets stored when so there is creation, like Big Bang happening, then it's called srishti, then sustaining, and then dissolution. The dissolution is called pralaya, that is great dissolution. And when that happens during the next cycle, what will happen is that it may not be this humans and others, it can be some completely different forms that come, but they would also have this causal body. And this causal body is the one where the karma can never end. It gets stored in the causal body. So these are the three bodies. And now the Sukshma Shariram is the most relevant because the mind is part of that. Now, Sukshma Shariram, I told you, has 19 components. What are the 19 components? The four parts of the mind we just saw. So far, it's clear. Then there is I'm not talking about the senses, which is nose, physical, that's called golakam. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the power of perception behind that. It is subtle. That there are five powers. There is a sense of touch, taste, sight, hearing, smell. Right? So far, so four of the mind plus five we've seen. These are called jnanendriyas. The five senses, they're called jnanendriyas. Then there are five senses called karmendriyas. These are also, they call it as senses, which is organs, the power behind action. Okay, and what are these five karmendriyas? One, vak, pani, padam. So power of the hands, hands, locomotion, feet. Then power of speech, vak, pani, padam. Then there is the payu and upastha. That is, there is the organ of excretion, and then there's the organ of reproduction. The power behind reproduction, the power behind excretion. So there are five. So we've seen five senses of touch, taste, all that. That is jnana indriyas. Five karma indriyas. That is the power of action. And then there's the four parts of the mind, 14. And then there is one prana. Imagine, this is important. This will come out soon. There's one prana showing as five. Pancha prana. And this is only one prana, but it like a king delegates this task, that task to different people, like that. He appoints ministers. So one function is getting divided into five. And the prana is the one that sustains life. It's the power that it's a life force. So that is prana. So 19 we've seen. Okay, so far is everything clear to everybody? Those, okay, all right. Now keep that. So Sukshma Shariram is what we will focus on. That is the subtle body. Now we will go into the story proper. Okay, so this story is a very, very, very powerful, very subtle story. In fact, when you first hear the story, it comes in the Bhagavata Purana. Bhagavata Puranam is the Puranam means a story, mythology. Puranas, and there is the Itihasa. Itihasa means iti asti. It did happen as such. That's what it means. So there is Mahabharata and Ramayana, which are the two Itihasas, and there are many, 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 many Puranas, and there are some Mukhya Puranas. I believe there are about 19 or so of them. And Puranjana Upakyanam, that is the narrative of Puranjana. This is about a person called Puranjana. Pura means a place or a city. Like in India, there are names like Kanpur, all that poor. So pura, it means a place. Okay. Jana, ja, the word janma, ja means birth. Ja, so pura, Puranjana, pura plus jana. Pure janayati yati Puranjana. That which makes or begets place is called Puranjana. That is the name of this person. Okay, so I'm not going to. It's suspense. So the way it works in this Bhagavata Purana, the entire story was told. You wouldn't understand a single thing about the story, and then in the next chapter, the meaning is illustrated. So this is how Narada tells it to this king. Okay, let us go to the story proper. This is Rishi Narada. I'm not going to say who Narada is because you'll be most of you would be familiar. Otherwise, there's a story after I have to tell who what his story is. He's a sage. Let's just keep it that way. Okay. Um, the king that you see is called Prachina Barhi. Prachi means east. Prachina means east. Barhis means it's kusha grass. Kusha grass is what people used to use um, to sit for doing pujas. They put a cloth over that and they sit. So, in fact, in the Bhagavad Gita, B.K.S. Iyengar, so there's Iyengar teacher also here. So, B.K.S. Iyengar used to say this Samam Kaya Shiro Grivam Dharayan Achalam Stiraha. This is one of his famous slokas. And before that, the shloka in the Bhagavad Gita, which comes is Shuchau Deshe Pratishtapya Stiramasana Matmanaha Natyuchutam Nati Nicham Chailajina Kushottaram Kusha grass. That is the Barhi. So you see a lot of kusha grass because they're used when they're doing this puja, these homams, these yajnas, they use kusha grass. So he was named itself was Prachina Barhi because everywhere in his kingdom he grew kusha grass. So that's his name. This comes in the lineage of Dhruva. His later descendant is a king called Prithu. And Prithu was the one who chased Mother Earth because Mother Earth, before Prithu, there was the evil king called Vena. The legend has that when evil kings rule, the earth won't produce anything. So the rishis saw the sad state of affairs, and they themselves, usually rishis don't kill, they're not supposed to cause harm. They themselves burnt this king, and his descendant was Prithu, and Prithu was the one who was responsible for getting the earth back, causing the earth to again produce. And that's why earth is called Prithvi. Okay, for those who are familiar with the terms. The story is told by Narada to Prachina Barhi. Okay, and why did Narada intervene? So um, Narada travels around the world, right? And this king, he had good intent, but he was very ignorant. And what was he doing? He thought he can go to heaven by doing all these yajnas. All the time he was doing yajnas. If he was just doing yajnas, it is not a problem. What was he doing? He was sacrificing animals as part of the yajnas. You see all the animals tied behind? They were all going to be sacrificed. Narada came and told him that his actions were very futile. It's not going to take him to heaven or anything. And it's unfortunate that so many animals are slaughtered. And then to make the king understand that all this heaven, his true nature, he tells the story. So he tells the story, the allegory of King Puranjana, to explain the philosophy of the jiva. The jiva, when you say jiva, the word jiva, you will encounter a lot in these scriptures. It means, jiva means literally, it's the resident or this individual. It refers to this sense of I. And this I, it by itself, I told you, it is the ahankara, the sense of I. It itself is inert. but it comes to life when there is this consciousness, the Atma shining on that. So he tells this story of the Jiva. So this, for this ritual obsessed king, he tells the story in a way that the king can understand. Okay, now we will go to the story. So it's called Puranjana Upakyanam. It's actually the story of you. Now pay close attention here. I've told you all the portions of the mind, the Sukshma Shariram, so pay attention. There's some suspense here. Once there was a person called Puranjana. Puranjana, as it said, it means who, Pure Janayati, one who begets a city. So what does Puranjana want to do from the name? Can anybody say? Any guesses?
Immortality?
Um, he not quite. So Puranjana, just one who begets a city, right? He just wants to live in a nice city. He wants a nice, comfortable home, comfortable city. He wants a family, all that. Okay. So Puranjana had a very close friend. So the close friend is this person here. And the close friend's name is called Avijnata. Jnata means to know. Avijnata means one who cannot be known. So this should give you some clues for, I just told you, I explained who, all the constituents of the body. It should give you some clue. Okay. Don't, I'll ask you, I'll quiz you. At that time you can answer. It means unknown one. So they all always traveled together. They were always together. Puranjana was constantly, he wanted to explore to find a suitable place to live where and experience pleasure, where he can have a family, all that. They wandered for a long time, long, many years. Finally, they come to a magnificent city. And what kind of city was that? This is also told again and again in the Upanishads and in the Bhagavad Gita also. It has 9 gates. City with the 9 gates. Okay. Now, this is also, pay attention, in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Krishna says, Navadware pure dehi naiva kurpanna karayan nakartrutvam nakarmani lokasya srijati prabhu nakarma pala sanyogam swabhavastu pravartate. Navadware pure dehi, 9-gated city, the one who lives in the 9-gated city. So Puranjana wants to live in this beautiful 9-gated city. And he enters the city with Avijnata. Immediately after, when he enters the city, he meets this beautiful woman. So very beautiful woman. And how she was not alone. She had, it was hot. She had an umbrella. What kind of umbrella was that? It was a 5-headed serpent. So you should now do some dot connection, and you should try to figure out who that don't answer now, the 5-headed serpent is. It's 5-headed serpent, not 5 serpents. It's 5-headed serpent. Okay. She was very beautiful. She approached him. And who did she have? She had a commander, and she had 10 servants. Okay. And so these people, and Puranjana was immediately, he fell in love with her. He was mesmerized by her beauty. Immediately he approached her and he said, can you marry me? And then this lady says, yes, I was also expecting you. I was awaiting you. You're so good looking. I want to marry you. Immediately. Then Avijnata pulls him aside. You don't even know her. You don't know which family she belongs to. You know nothing about her. Isn't it dangerous for you to do this? To marry somebody you have no idea about? And Puranjana says, no. I really want this woman and I want to live here. So she's called Puranjani. And it looked to Puranjana as though she was the one who's the controller of the kingdom, because she had a strong commander-in-chief. She had all these 10 main servants, and there's a huge retinue behind. So he thought, this lady is probably the one who is in charge of this place. So immediately thought, okay, if I marry this beautiful woman, I'll have a beautiful wife, and I'll also have all the comforts. So they both get married. And at that time, Avignata goes into the backstage. He says, okay, this person, Puranjana goes into the backstage. Avignata does not listen. I can't do anything. So Puranjana is the Avignata is the one with the halo. Okay. He goes into the backstage. Now, for many years, they lived very happily. And this Puranjana, he was always under the control of this lady. Let's call her Puranjani, the one who lives in the city. If she laughed, he laughed. If she ate, he ate. If she drank, he drank. If she was sad, he was sad. He completely lost his independent identity. Previously, he was with Avignata, he was calm, there's some kind of control. Now he is associated with Puranjani and all these people. He's completely under the control of this woman. And he became a puppet in her hands. And they were protected. They were protected by this five. Both of them were protected by the five-headed serpent. And so these are the characters in the story. Now, they were always together, right? Once the start came to Puranjana, okay? Okay, so, but at this point, do you guys want to take any guesses on who these characters are? Let's first go with who is Avignata. Avignata, the one who cannot be known. Who is Avignata? Anybody wants to say?
I think he's representing that pure consciousness or the Atma.
Yes. Very good. Avignata represents the Atma or the pure consciousness. Okay. Who is Puranjana? This guy.
Is he like ahamkara?
Very good. He is the ahankar, the false sense of ego. And it's only because of Puranjana that he comes alive. Avignata, he comes alive. The Puranjana is always close, but he doesn't realize. Yes. Now, who is Puranjani, this lady? This is maybe a little tough one. She's very important. Very, very important. I told you, I gave you a clue. I gave stress something is very important when I said this in the before we started the story. So who is Puranjani?
Chitta?
Not quite. Because she would be, if she's Chitta, she would be very close to Avignata, very Chittiva Bhaveti Chittam. She's not close.
The five-headed serpent seems to represent the senses, so it seems to be something tied to the senses or the manas, maybe. I don't know. I think senses is all I'm getting.
Yeah. So Puranjani is the intellect. I told you, intellect is Indriyani Parani Ahuhu Indriyepya Param Manaha Manasastu Para Buddhihi Yo Buddher Paratastu Saha. In the Bhagavad Gita, it comes Indriyani, the senses are great. Indriyebhya Param Manaha, the manas is even greater than the five senses. Manatastu para buddhihi, the buddhi, intellect, is even higher than the mind, because without the intellect, we will be like animals. That's what distinguishes you from animals. We claim we have the biggest prefrontal cortex. I told you, I gave the clue. So Puranjani is the intellect. Yo buddher paratastu saha, that consciousness is the highest of everything, because that's what gives life, consciousness, sentience to everything. Okay. Now so far that's clear. So the five can get confused. That's why I kept saying it is not 5 serpents. It is a single serpent coming as 5. Now can you guess, Amy?
Is that the sense? I don't know.
No, I told
I
you
think
the
I'm
one
missing something.
prana
Yeah.
manifests as 5. I told you, right?
Yeah.
Remember? It is
Panchaprana?
one prana manifesting as
Oh,
5.
the Pancha Prana.
Yes, so that is the Pancha
Cool.
Prana. That is the Pancha Prana. The commander here is it's not very explicit. It seems to be like the mind, because the mind is considered the head of the senses. So it is the mind, and the 10 servants, they are the 5 jnanendriyas and the 5 karmendriyas. Okay, so that is this. Okay, now what happens is the king is now he becomes the king. Puranjana becomes the king. He's always with Puranjani. Now a thought occurs to him. I'm always with her. Let me enjoy some freedom. I want to do something on my own. So Puranjana, usually inseparable from the queen, one day decides to enjoy independently, away from her controlling influence. She's very controlling. She keeps him, but he's also very happy with her because everything is good. So now, and what does he want to do? He wants to get away from her. So he gets away. He mounts a chariot. And what kind of chariot was that? It is a chariot pulled by 5 horses. And the chariot has only 2 wheels where it makes contact with the ground. Remember this word, making contact with the ground. And the chariot, so it has 5 horses, and he has a quiver. Some people say 5 banam. So when I heard Velukudi Krishnan's talk, he said there was a quiver with 5 banam. Banam, it means 5 arrows. Bana is arrows. Some people say 5 weapons. So there were, let's just say 5 arrows. Okay. The chariot has 3 flags. And what does he do? He just goes into the jungle. He starts acting recklessly. He starts killing animals recklessly without any reason. Just for, like, he goes on a spree and he starts killing all the animals. Then he satisfies himself. Then he comes home. But when he comes home, what happens? What do you think happens when he comes back home? He's going alone. Take a guess.
It seems like Puranjani wouldn't be very happy with him.
Yes, she's not at all happy. Look at this. She is on the floor. She is just totally disheveled. Most beautiful woman in a state of, like, she's crying. Hair is all messed up. She's lying on the floor. She doesn't even want to lie on the bed. That's her status. Then Puranjana, he wants to be close to her, so he begs her for forgiveness. Okay, so he goes and begs for forgiveness, and he says, please, I'm very sorry. She's very, very furious. So that's what happens. And then okay, so now let's go to the chariot. There is analogies here. Now, what are the 5 horses here? What is the analogy of the 5 horses? Anybody wants to say?
All right, are these the senses?
These are the senses, correct? Because in the Bhagavad Gita also, and also in the Kathopanishad, let me try to see if I can pull a slide for the Kathopanishad. Indriyani paranyahu. I told you that, right? That is the parable of the chariot. So the story, this Navadware Pure Dehi, the 9-gated city, the body is like the 9-gated city. Okay, what are the gates? The 2 ears, Nose, two holes. Gates means holes. 2 ears, nostrils, 2 eyes. Eyes also, even though it's not a hole, it's something is coming in, right? So 2 eyes. So we've counted 6. Mouth, 7. Organ, the excretion and reproduction. So 2. So 9-gated city. The body is called the 9-gated city. And here, so there is the parable of the chariot. So the chariot, so you're correct. So in the chariot here, these 5 horses are the 5 senses. Now, these are the jnana indriyas. Now, what do these 5 arrows represent? Because arrow is something you throw at, right? You shoot at something. So what do these represent? Anybody wants to guess? It should be easy. The horses are the senses of cognition, jnana indriyas. What are the 5 arrows?
Of
Karmendriyas?
action.
Karmendriyas. Correct. They are the organs of action. The speech, hands. You do something with the hands, locomotion with the feet, walk, speech, and walk is it's a powerful action. It's like cutting speech like arrows, they say, right? And then there is payu and upasaya, excretion and reproduction. So these are the 5 karmendriyas. What are these 3 flags? Anybody knows?
Gunas.
Trigunas?
Yeah, the 3 gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas. The 3 gunas is what constitutes the prakriti. The prakriti is made up of 3 gunas. So it's not, that's why it's not part of the sukshma shariram. Some people ask, why are there not 22 elements in the sukshma shariram? No, because guna is the constituent. It is they call it the pradhana. Before the prakriti manifests as shapes and everything, there was only gunas. And when the guna starts getting out of the perfect equilibrium, you start all this manifestation. So it is the 3 flags are the 3 gunas. The chariot, what's the chariot?
The body.
Body. Chariot is the body. Now this is a tough one. I told you the chariot makes contact with the earth on 2 points. So what are the 2 wheels?
Prakriti and Purusha? Question? What's good?
The Purusha never makes any contact.
Sharira. So,
Yeah, there are 2 ways to interpret this. One is the karma, good and the bad karma. Another is wheel also represents the time. It's the day and the night. So that is one way. So we'll just keep it as karma, good and the bad karma. That is how you come in contact. It leaves an impression, good and the bad karma. Okay. So far, so good. Everybody with me? Yeah. Okay. Good. Now, the queen finally, queen's anger is appeased, and they continue living for a long time. They live, and everything was good. But one day, they're also becoming old. As they're becoming old, the neighbor kingdom, they start attacking the city, and the person in the who's attacking is the king of Gandharvas. Gandharvas are celestials. He's called Chandavega. Look at that. Vega means speed. Chandavega. Who do you think this person, now that I said they became old, who do you think Chandavega symbolizes? Vegam means speed. Chanda is like destruction. Speed of destructive speed. What does it symbolize? Anybody wants to guess?
It sounds like death or Shiva or destruction or something.
No, this is like no gods here. Here's just this is like a aspect. What do you think? What comes to all of us? What can't we escape?
Old age.
Huh?
Old age.
Old age. Yeah. So it represents time. Kala. Vegam. It's come time. It comes fast. You can't escape. Chanda Vega represents time. Now, who does he come with? He comes with soldiers. Usually all these soldiers, they all will have the same uniform, right? But he brings 180 soldiers dressed in white, 180 soldiers dressed in black. Who do these soldiers represent? Anybody wants to guess?
Good time, bad time, I don't know. Because it's
So
something to
180, if you combine, it's 360, which is close to 365. Now can you guess?
Days of the year.
Days and nights. So
Days and
180 days. So it represents 180. So that's how it says. So it's not like there are 180, 360 nights and 360 days, but the way it says is he brings 360 Gandharva soldiers, 180 fair white men, 180 dark black men. They represents the days of the year and the nights. That's how it says. So I'm just keeping the tradition. I didn't want to say 360 and 360. So, and that's how Velukudi Krishnan also explains it. And then they battle. Who comes to protect the city? The the five-headed snake. That is the prana. The snake finally succumbs. It valiantly fights to all. So the prana is the life force. If the prana is strong, your life is good. And the prana becomes weak. In fact, in the Yoga Sutras, it says that when you close your ears, there is this sound like the furnace, like the heater furnace humming. And when that sound disappears, it says your death is close. The Yoga Sutras, it says. So it's the prana is what, it's the life force. It comes and protects your body till the end. And it becomes weak. And at some point, this snake also collapses. Okay. So that's what happens to. So then eventually snake grows weak and the city falls. Puranjana is forced out of the city by the soldiers of time. And the daughter of time, old age, and there's one more person who comes to attack. I've not said it is. She had a hunch. She comes and orders all the soldiers to attack, and that represents old age. Hunch usually in these stories it represents old age. Then his last thought. So he goes away. He's walking, and soon he's lying on his deathbed. Puranjana. Last thing he thinks of is his wife Puranjani, and he dies. Okay, and then what happens? He is born again. Okay, so Puranjana is born again as so the Shastra here, the Bhagavata Puranam says he's born as Vaidharbi, a woman. So I don't know exactly the symbolism, but here Velukudi Krishnan, he seemed to tell that it was like a person. He doesn't mention that. But if you read the full text and you see the verses and you interpret, she is married. Then her husband dies. She becomes a widow. And she is about to give up her life when the old friend Avijnata comes, the guy with the halo. Then Avijnata asks her, "Do you recognize me?" Then she first is confused. Who are you? You are Avijnata. You were with me. I now recognize you. You're my old friend. Avijnata says, I didn't really leave you. I was there always, but you forgot me totally. Avijnata says, and he tells that to Vaidarbi, who's Puranjana in the previous life. You decided to leave me completely and you decided to enjoy the city. You never listened to me and you suffered. Now will you listen to me and come with me? Puranjana, or the Vaidarbi, she was tired at this point. And actually, Velukudi Krishnan says there were many lifetimes in between. So she's Puranjana, and then was born as animals, all that. And finally, he is born as a woman, Vaidarbi. At this point, she's very tired. She's tired of these cycles, birth, death, death. She said, "Yes, I will come with you." Now, this is the climax. So they were, she's come out of the city. She's living in another city again with 9 gates. And she's coming out of the city, and they were about to leave the city. But again, suddenly, Puranjana, Avijnata turns back. And then she asks, why are you walking in that direction? I thought we were going to go to some nice place and end this entire cycle. And this is the climax. Where are you going? She asks Avijnata. Avijnata says, someone in your city is calling. This is the climax. Do you understand what it is? Someone in your city is calling. This call, it refers to, do you want to take a guess what it is? Who's calling?
What occurred to me was just someone else trapped in these
Yeah, that's
cycles.
what I also thought when Velukuri Krishnan
Mm.
told the story. But this refers to the unfulfilled desires. That's the voice that's calling. So look at this. The jiva, this is the sad situation with the jiva. After getting beaten about old age, births, constantly through many cycles, it still wants to prolong the samsara. There are these desires. And that's how it ends, this entire story. These unfulfilled desires are the voice calling out from the city. They're saying, wait, you can't leave it. What about this pleasure? What about that duty? What about the person that I love? All these things. So what Avijnata is saying is, you may want to come with me, but your heart is still calling out for the world. So Avijnata represents the Atma, that is the pure consciousness. So the Jiva could have ended this transmigration and could have gone, but it has latent desires still. That is the story. That's how the whole thing ends. Okay, I will stop the recording now.